Trashy little rat! The chamber froze as Donald Trump spat those three words, words heavy with contempt, echoing like a gunshot through history. This isn't just another shouting match in Washington. Behind those walls lie over 300 pages of hidden documents, millions of stolen dollars, and a trail of corruption that has silenced voices for decades. But today, one voice refuses to be silenced. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, branded as nothing more than a rat, rises with the fire of justice burning in her chest. And across from her sits Donald J. Trump, the 47th President of the United States, a man shielded by power, privilege, and decades of unchecked arrogance. What unfolds here is more than a hearing. It's a war of truth versus lies, light versus darkness. A nation divided watches, and only one will walk out unbroken. The chamber is packed, every seat filled, every camera red light glowing, every breath held as if the very air itself knows it's about to ignite. Donald J. Trump strides in, not like a man under oath, but like a king entering his court. That smug grin plastered across his face, half arrogance, half defiance, says everything. Jasmine Crockett doesn't flinch. Her eyes lock onto him, sharp as a blade, unblinking. She is not here to play politics. She is here to fight. The gavel hasn't even struck. No introductions, no formalities. Trump leans forward, spits venom across the table, and the first words slice through the silence like broken glass. "You're nothing but a cheap puppet for the radical left." The chamber gasps. A few gasps turn into murmurs. Cameras zoom in, hungry to capture the outrage. For a heartbeat, Jasmine remains seated, lips pressed tight, shoulders squared. But then she rises. The chair screeches back, her palm slams the desk, and the microphone trembles as her voice detonates. "You are the one who sold America out." The words rip through the hall like thunder. Every syllable is electric, every vowel charged with fury and righteousness. Trump narrows his eyes. He didn't expect her to bite back this quickly, this hard. His smirk falters, just for a flicker, before the storm in him surges. "You dare talk to me like that? Me? The President of the United States?" His voice rumbles, filling every corner, daring anyone to interrupt. Jasmine doesn't blink. Her stare cuts through him, colder than steel. "Yes," she says, each word a blade. Because the truth doesn't bow to titles. The room erupts. Half the crowd cheers, the other half jeers. The chamber becomes an arena. Cameras flash, pens scratch furiously across notepads. The world is watching history fracture open before their very eyes. Trump leans forward, jabbing a finger toward Jasmine. "You're nothing but noise. Loud, angry noise. A disgrace." Her chin lifts, shoulders square. Better loud than corrupt. Better angry than silent in the face of injustice. The crowd is on fire now, whispers racing like sparks through dry grass. This isn't a hearing anymore. It's combat. Each phrase is a punch. Each insult, a strike. Each rebuttal, a counterblow. "Shut your mouth," Trump roars suddenly, pounding the desk, voice cracking with rage. The microphones screech under the force. Jasmine doesn't flinch. Her reply is calm, sharp, devastating. "No, not when the truth is screaming to be heard. Not when the people deserve to see the rot hiding behind your smile." For a moment, the chamber falls silent again. The words hang in the air, heavy as chains. Trump tries to laugh it off, but the laughter dies in his throat. This is not the fragile opponent he imagined. This is a woman unshaken by power, unafraid of threats. Reporters glance at one another. They know. This is the clip that will loop across every screen, every feed, every headline. The hearing has only just begun, and already it feels like blood has been spilled. Not with knives or bullets, but with words honed sharp enough to cut bone. Jasmine's chest rises and falls, her eyes never leaving Trump's face. Trump grips the edge of the table so tightly his knuckles turn white. This is round one, and neither is backing down. The gavel finally slams, but it's too late. The battlefield is alive, and nothing will put the fire out now. No one expected the hearing to open like this. No one thought civility would die before the first question. But here it is. A screaming match turned war. A courtroom turned arena. a clash destined to burn into memory. And as the dust of the first blow settles, one truth is already clear. This isn't politics. This is survival. If you don't want to miss the rest of this battle, subscribe now to Harrison Stories and witness every strike, every word, every moment of this historic war. And just as the echoes of that first clash linger in the chamber, the battle sharpens. The insults were only the opening gunfire. Now the war of words begins. Each sentence aimed to wound, each phrase designed to kill reputations. Trump leans back in his chair, lips curling into that familiar smirk. He's tasted blood and wants more. "Look at you," he sneers, voice dripping with disdain. "You think you belong here? You're not smart enough, not strong enough. Hell, you don't even look the part." Gasps scatter across the room. The words slice deeper than policy, cutting at her very existence. It's not about law or evidence, it's about humiliation. He leans forward, eyes narrowing, savoring the cruelty. "You're nothing but a pretty face trying to sound intelligent. A little nobody from nowhere. A rat dressed up for the cameras." Laughter erupts from one side of the chamber. Snickers, coughs, chuckles. It's the sound of cruelty finding an audience. And Trump thrives on it. But Jasmine doesn't flinch. Her spine stays straight, her eyes locked onto him, cold and unbroken. She waits. Lets the laughter fade, lets the poison settle in the air. Then with a voice calm as a blade, she cuts back. "Tell me, Mr. President, are you so terrified of the truth that you have to insult me instead of answering the questions?" The room stiffens. The laughter dies. Every eye shifts from Trump to her, waiting to see how he'll respond. For a flicker of a second, he falters. Then he snarls, doubling down, pounding the desk. "I'm not afraid of you. I'm not afraid of your games. You're a clown, nothing but a clown." But the tremor in his tone betrays him. The insult sounds desperate now, not dominant. Jasmine seizes the moment. Her voice rises, steady, fierce, echoing through the chamber. "No, you are afraid, because clowns make people laugh, and no one is laughing at the crimes you've committed. They're gasping." The crowd splits in two. One half explodes into jeers, fists pounding desks, voices shouting in defense of Trump. The other half leans forward in silence, breath held, hearts pounding. It's chaos, half circus, half battlefield. Trump points again, red face, sweat collecting on his brow. "You're beneath me, do you hear me? Beneath me." Jasmine doesn't blink. She steps closer to the microphone, her voice a quiet dagger. "Then why do you look cornered?" The words hit like a hammer. The chamber shakes with murmurs, pens scratching faster, cameras clicking like machine guns. Everyone knows this isn't the script Trump wanted. He came here to belittle, to break her spirit. But each insult he throws becomes a weapon turned back against him. Each sneer exposes fear. Jasmine presses on, relentless. "You mock my appearance, my intelligence, my roots. But that says nothing about me. It says everything about you." The silence is deafening. Trump's jaw tightens, his face flushed crimson. She leans forward, voice rising, heavy with fire. "You think power shields you, but words won't protect you from the truth. And the truth is, your lies are collapsing around you faster than you can shout them." The crowd erupts again. This time, even those who laugh before hesitate. Trump's attacks are losing their sting. The room can feel it. The tide is turning. He slams his fist once more, desperate to regain control. "This is my hearing, not yours." But Jasmine answers without hesitation. "No, this is the people's hearing, and you, sir, are on trial in their eyes." The hook tightens. The tension coils like a spring. Trump thought he had her backed into a corner. Instead, it's his mask cracking, his fury boiling over, his grip slipping. What began as a show of dominance is spiraling into a showcase of weakness. And Jasmine Crockett, branded a rat and a puppet, now stands taller than ever. Her words cutting sharper, her presence undeniable. The chamber holds its breath. Round 2 has ended. The battlefield is shifting, and the war is far from over. Trump slams his palms onto the desk with a force that rattles the microphones. The echo booms across the chamber like cannon fire, and then his voice, raw, guttural, volcanic, explodes. "Don't you dare lie to me in front of this nation." The words are less a statement than a storm. They roll through the hall like thunder, shaking walls, shaking spines. Cameras jolt to capture every second. Jasmine doesn't move. She doesn't flinch, doesn't blink. Her hands remain folded neatly in front of her face a mask of steel. When she speaks, her voice is quiet. But every syllable is razor sharp, slicing clean through the storm. The louder you shout, the clearer it becomes. You're not powerful. You're afraid. A ripple shoots across the chamber. The silence is louder than Trump's roar. Every spectator, every reporter, every guard breathes shallow, as if the air has turned to iron. Trump's face burns crimson. Veins rise at his temple. His jaw grinds so hard the sound could almost be heard. He pounds the desk again, harder, his voice cracking with rage. "I will not be humiliated by a second-rate congresswoman pretending to lecture me. You hear me? I built this country's strength. I made America fearsome again." His words spit like fire, but Jasmine only leans closer to her mic. Her eyes never leave his, cold, merciless. "Then why?" she asks softly. "Does the room only see a man trembling at the truth?" Gasps ripple through the audience. A low whistle escapes from somewhere in the back rows. The tension coils tighter, twisting around every chest in the hall. Trump shoves back his chair and half rises, as though the force of his anger can't be contained by wood and steel. Security shifts uneasily. The air feels dangerous, volatile, like the chamber has become a cage holding two predators. "You think you're clever," he snarls, pointing at her with a shaking finger. "But everyone knows what you are. A fraud, a puppet, a liar." Jasmine doesn't blink. Her lips curl into the faintest of smirks, the kind that cuts deeper than any insult. "Projection," she says simply. "One of your favorite games. Accuse others of what you've always done yourself." The word hangs in the air like a blade suspended above his head. Trump tries to laugh, a hollow, desperate sound, but it rings false. "People don't buy your little act. You're nothing compared to me. Nothing." Jasmine tilts her head, her voice low, steady, lethal. "Then why are you screaming at me like a cornered animal?" The audience is split down the middle. On one side, die-hard loyalists shout, clap, chant his name like a war cry. On the other, silence reigns. Cold, cutting silence, because they see the cracks forming. Trump's chest heaves, his words stumble over one another, rage tangling his tongue. He's not leading the moment anymore. He's chasing it, grasping for control as it slips like water through his fists. Jasmine lets the silence stretch, lets the tension suffocate him. Then she drives the knife deeper. "You think volume is victory, but volume only exposes panic, and panic exposes guilt." The words slice through the chamber. A stunned hush follows as though the entire hall has been gutted of oxygen. Trump slams the desk again, but this time it sounds weaker, a hollow echo of the first. His shout strains, his voice cracking like glass under pressure. "I am not afraid." But the crack is all anyone hears. The desperation, the denial, the naked fear dressed as fury. Jasmine sits back, finally her calm presence a direct counterpoint to his storm. "History will decide," she murmurs, "but it won't be decided by who shouted the loudest. It will be decided by who dared to speak the truth." The words settle into the chamber like molten steel, heavy, unshakable. Spectators glance at one another, jaws tight, eyes wide. The hearing has become something beyond politics, beyond law. It has become a duel of wills, a battle to shatter the other's spirit. And as Trump's roar fades into ragged breathing, the question sears into every mind present. Who will break first? The answer doesn't come in a shout. It comes in the soft, deliberate sound of paper sliding across wood. Jasmine Crockett reaches down, calm and steady, and lifts a thick folder, its edges worn, its weight unmistakable. She lays it on the desk with a thud that reverberates louder than Trump's fists ever could. The chamber holds its breath. Reporters crane their necks. Cameras zoom in, lenses hungry to devour every detail. Trump narrows his eyes, the smug grin creeping back across his face. But there's a flicker, just a flicker, of unease. Jasmine doesn't look at him. She looks at the nation, through the cameras as her voice rings clear. This, she says, tapping the folder, is not noise. It is not theater. This is evidence, financial records that reveal a pattern of deception, of hidden accounts, of money funneled in the shadows. A ripple of gasps spreads through the audience. Some lean forward, eyes wide. Others shake their heads, refusing to believe. But no one can look away. Trump chuckles, low at first, then louder, like a man performing for his loyal crowd. Evidence? He sneers. That's a prop, a stunt, a stack of papers cooked up by your friends in the swamp. Everyone knows it. He leans back, arms folded, exuding defiance. To his base, it's confidence. To the rest, it's evasion. Jasmine remains unmoved. She opens the folder, slowly, carefully, as though peeling back layers of armor. Page after page, she fans them out across the desk. Statements, transfers, signatures. The cameras click in a frenzy. The red recording lights blink like warning sirens. The whole room tilts forward, drawn into the gravity of the reveal. Millions, Jasmine says, her voice steady, cold. Moved quietly, moved secretly, hidden from the very people you swore to serve. Trump shakes his head, scoffing, but the laughter doesn't quite reach his eyes. They've tried this before. Russia, taxes, hoaxes, hoaxes, hoaxes. It's all the same circus. You'll never prove a thing. But his hands grip the desk a little tighter. The mask of arrogance strains at the edges. A murmur swells in the chamber. Every viewer watching from home can feel it. The weight of the papers, the shadow of truth. Even those who laugh uneasily know, evidence is different. Evidence doesn't shout. Evidence doesn't break. Evidence endures. Jasmine's voice cuts clean through the noise. You call it a circus because you're terrified of the spotlight. You mock it as fake because you know the pages bleed with truth. She lifts one sheet, holds it high for the cameras. This signature is yours. This trail is yours. And no amount of shouting will erase ink. The silence is deafening. Every word lands heavy. Every breath in the room feels stolen. Trump juts his chin forward, fighting to regain ground. Signatures can be forged. Numbers can be twisted. Don't think the American people will buy your lies. But the tremor in his voice betrays him. His performance is cracking. The chamber erupts, some shouting lies in defense, others clapping, others simply stunned. The gavel pounds for order, but it's like pounding against a storm. Still, Jasmine's gaze doesn't waver. She doesn't shout, doesn't smirk. She lets the evidence speak louder than fury ever could. The question is not whether this paper exists, she says, her tone slicing with surgical precision. The question is, how much longer can you hide from what's written on it? The hook lodges itself deep in every listener's chest. Trump may laugh, he may sneer, but the seed of doubt has been planted. And seeds, once planted, grow. The war has shifted again, not just words now. Proof has entered the arena, and the world is watching, breathless, waiting to see if this evidence can topple a man who has built his empire on defiance. If you've been gripped by this clash and don't want to miss what comes next, make sure you're subscribed to Harrison Stories, where every twist of this historic battle comes alive. And just when it seems the weight of Jasmine's evidence might tip the scales, Trump moves. Quick, sudden, dramatic, like a heavyweight throwing a desperate hook. With a flourish, he yanks a folder of his own from under the desk, slaps it onto the table, and thrusts it toward the cameras. His grin is feral now, teeth bared. You think you've cornered me? He snarls. Well, guess what? Two can play this game, and now the whole world will see the truth about you. Gasps ripple through the chamber. Every camera swings like a predator's eye, lenses snapping toward Trump's stack of papers. He yanks one out, waves it in the air. Right here, documents, testimony, records. Proof that Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett isn't the saint she pretends to be. Proof that she's taken money, yes, money, from anti-American groups who want to see me destroyed. Proof that she's biased, corrupt, compromised. The chamber erupts. One half cheers, chanting his name, fists pounding in rhythm. The other half shouts, Lies with equal force, drowning in outrage. The noise collides like thunder meeting a hurricane. Jasmine sits perfectly still, her eyes fixed on him, unblinking, her expression unreadable. Not fear, not anger, something else, like a chess master studying a reckless opponent. Trump slams another sheet on the desk. She dares accuse me while her own hands are filthy, while she hides her dirty deals behind speeches about justice. This, this right here, this proves it all. The crowd roars. It feels less like a hearing and more like the fifth round of a title fight. Two warriors in the ring, trading punches that draw blood with every swing. The cameras close in on Jasmine. Her silence stretches, heavy, unbearable. For 5 long seconds, she says nothing. Then she smiles. It's not loud, not mocking. It's calm, unshakable. A smile that says, I knew you'd do this. When she finally speaks, her voice is steady, almost gentle but laced with blades. Thank you, Mr. President, she says softly, for giving me the chance to show this chamber and this nation what transparency actually looks like. Trump's grin falters just for a breath. Jasmine lifts her hand, signaling to her staff behind her. Within moments, another folder is brought forward. Thin, neat, pristine. She places it beside Trump's chaotic stack, the contrast stark. I've anticipated this attack, she says, her voice rising now, clear and sharp. And because I have nothing to hide, every financial contribution, every dollar I've ever accepted, every penny is right here. Public, documented, verified. She opens the folder with deliberate care, revealing neatly organized records, receipts, statements, pages stamped, signed, audited, clean. The chamber leans forward, like an audience watching a perfect counterpunch land flush on the jaw. You wave accusations, Jasmine continues, her eyes locking on Trump's. But accusations are not proof. Shouting is not evidence. Your papers are noise, mine are clarity. Trump's jaw tightens. He tries to laugh again, but it stumbles out hollow, strained. He slams the desk, shouting, It's a setup! Another setup! They're all in on it with you! But the room is shifting. The cheers from his side are not as loud now, not as certain. The silence from Jasmine's supporters has turned into a quiet confidence, the kind that builds momentum like a wave. She leans closer to the microphone. You wanted to make this about me, to paint me as corrupt, to drag me into the mud where you live? Her voice cuts like a scalpel. But mud doesn't stick when there's nothing to hide, and all you've done is prove that you're terrified of the real evidence against you. The blow lands hard. The audience feels it. Even Trump feels it. For the first time, his eyes flicker. Not rage, not smugness, but something far rarer, doubt. The hearing is no longer a question of documents. It is a question of faith, of trust, of who the nation believes. And in that moment, the battlefield transforms again. Not just evidence versus denial, not just words versus shouts. Now it is trust versus deception, belief versus manipulation. A fight not for facts alone, but for the very soul of the audience. The crowd holds its breath. Both sides wait. The next blow could decide everything. And then, a voice rises from the back of the chamber. Madam Chair, I request permission to testify. Every head swivels. Every camera jerks toward the sound. A man steps forward, his face partly shadowed by the glare of lights, his expression tense, weary, but resolute. Gasps ripple as recognition spreads through the room. It is Mark Reynolds, once one of Trump's trusted advisors, a man who stood at his side during rallies, who defended him in interviews, who carried his briefcase into the White House itself. A defector. The air tightens, sharp as glass. Commentators in the press row mutter furiously into microphones. This is no ordinary witness. This is someone from inside the fortress. Trump's eyes widen for just a split second, then narrow, then harden. Permission granted, the chairwoman says, her voice barely containing the electricity in the air. Reynolds steps up, places his hand on the stand, and speaks into the microphone. His voice trembles at first, then steadies, gathering force. I served Donald Trump for years, he begins. I defended him. I believed in him. But I can no longer stay silent. The room ignites. The sound is half gasp, half thunder, as if the very air has cracked open. Trump slams his fist on the table. This is outrageous, he bellows. This man is a nobody, a rat, a trashy little rat. But Reynolds doesn't flinch. He looks directly at Jasmine, then out toward the nation watching through the cameras. I was there, he says, voice firm now. I saw the financial manipulations. I saw the instructions to move money, to bury numbers, to create shell companies. I saw the lies, and I was told to carry them out. The chamber explodes. Some leap to their feet, shouting, pointing, demanding answers. Others bury their faces in their hands. Reporters type frantically, their screens glowing with breaking headlines. Trump insider turns against him. Jasmine moves with the precision of a predator. She leans forward, eyes blazing, voice cutting through the chaos like a blade. Mr. Reynolds, she says slow and deliberate, are you prepared to testify, under oath, that Donald Trump knowingly directed fraud and cover-ups? Reynolds doesn't hesitate. I am. The chamber convulses. It is no longer a hearing. It is an earthquake. Trump lurches to his feet, his face purple with rage. You liar! You pathetic worm! You're a traitor, a backstabber, a disgusting piece of garbage. His voice shreds the air, raw and venomous. You're here because you want fame, because you're bitter, because you couldn't handle the pressure. You're nothing but trash. His words echo like cannon fire, but this time, they don't land. The venom sprays wide, uncontrolled, desperate. Jasmine seizes the moment. She rises too, calm, commanding, her voice slicing through Trump's rage like steel. Mr. Trump, she says, when the evidence speaks, you call it fake. When witnesses speak, you call them rats. But the truth does not disappear just because you scream. The crowd trembles with energy. Some clap, some shout, some simply watch with eyes wide, as if witnessing history fracture in real time. Trump points a shaking finger at Reynolds. You'll regret this. You and everyone else in this circus, I made you, and you repay me with betrayal. But Reynolds holds steady, and Jasmine presses harder. Mr. Trump, she says again, louder now, do you deny that this man was your advisor? Do you deny he sat in your meetings? Do you deny he carried out your orders? Trump falters. He opens his mouth, but no words come. Only a guttural sound, half growl, half roar, before he collapses back into his chair, chest heaving. The silence that follows is deafening. For the first time in this war, Trump looks cornered, not by clever rhetoric, not by statistics or records, but by the voice of someone who once stood beside him. The crowd knows it. The cameras know it. Trump knows it. And Jasmine strikes the final blow of the round. She leans into her microphone, her words crisp, sharp, undeniable. Mr. Trump, your empire isn't crumbling because of me. It's crumbling because the truth is finally walking out of your own doors. The chamber erupts into chaos. Shouts, cries, applause, fury. The atmosphere is no longer tense. It is volcanic. The walls themselves seem to tremble. And as the roar of the crowd surges higher, one question drowns every other thought. If insiders are turning, if allies are breaking ranks, what other truths are waiting to be revealed? The battle has entered a new phase. The fortress is no longer sealed, and the storm has only just begun. Trump leans back in his chair, his chest rising and falling like a bull preparing to charge. For a moment, he says nothing. The chamber simmers, every ear tuned to his silence. Then, he smiles, not the mocking smirk of before, but a sharper, colder grin, the kind that promises a knife is about to be twisted. Jasmine, he says, dragging out her name like a curse, you talk big about truth. You talk big about justice. But let's remind everyone who you really are. The audience stiffens. The air thickens. The predators sense the shift. Trump leans forward, his voice dropping into a low, dangerous growl. You came from nothing. Dirt-poor family, a broken neighborhood, scraping by with hand-me-downs and pity. You think that makes you some hero? No, it makes you weak. It makes you desperate. It makes you pathetic. The words drip with venom. Each syllable is designed not for logic, not for evidence, but for pain. He doesn't stop. You barely made it through law school, didn't you? How many people laughed at you then? How many doors slammed in your face? You're not a warrior. You're a charity case. A pawn for the left, playing the victim card so you can sit here and pretend to be somebody. The chamber gasps as if struck. Even the cameras seem to zoom closer, capturing every flicker of Jasmine's expression. Trump pushes harder, his voice climbing, hammering like fists on steel. Tell me, Jasmine, how does it feel to know that the only reason you're here is because people pity you? That without their sympathy, you'd be nothing, just another failed little girl who couldn't make it out of the gutter? The words hang in the air, toxic and heavy. It is not evidence. It is not truth. It is pure psychological warfare. The audience feels the weight. Murmurs ripple through the chamber, half in shock, half in cruel agreement. Some smile, hungry for blood. Others shift uncomfortably as though watching a blade press into skin. For the first time tonight, Jasmine does not answer immediately. She sits still, her eyes closed for the briefest moment. A silence wraps around her, like a cocoon. Trump notices. He grins wider, thinking he's won. See? She's cracking. She can't handle it. She's nothing but a little girl pretending to play in the big leagues. But then, Jasmine opens her eyes, slowly, calmly. And when she speaks, her voice is steady, cool, razor sharp. Mr. Trump, she says, her words deliberate, you've just told on yourself. The chamber hushes. Jasmine leans forward, her gaze never leaving his. You're the President of the United States. You have access to intelligence briefings, to advisors, to legal teams, to mountains of data. And yet, with all that power, all you can think to do is attack my childhood? Her voice hardens, each word carrying the weight of steel. You think my story is weakness, but it's my strength. I fought my way out of that poverty. I earned my degree. I built my career. Every scar you mock is proof I survived a system designed to break me. Trump opens his mouth, but she cuts through him like lightning. And the fact that you have to dig through my past to hurt me, instead of answering for your crimes, that doesn't make me weak. That makes you terrified. The words land like hammer blows. The chamber erupts, not with gasps this time, but with an electric surge of energy, as if the entire room has exhaled at once. Jasmine presses further, her voice now commanding, booming across the hall. You're scared of women who fight back. You're scared of voices you can't silence. You're scared because the truth has teeth, and it's biting at your heels right now. Every eye locks on Trump, the great showman, the roaring lion, the man who thrives on dominance, now visibly rattled. He shifts in his chair, his face twitching between fury and disbelief. The tension is unbearable. It feels less like a hearing and more like a psychological duel fought with scalpels instead of swords. Every heartbeat in the room drums in sync with Jasmine's words. For a moment, Trump tries again. He slams the table, growls through clenched teeth. You think you're strong? You think you can stand against me? You're a fraud! But the momentum has turned. The crowd no longer trembles under his roar. They lean forward instead, waiting for Jasmine's reply. And Jasmine delivers, her final strike like ice-breaking stone. Mr. Trump, if surviving my past makes me a fraud, then exposing yours will make me unforgettable. The chamber detonates, cheers, shouts, a storm of voices crashing over each other. The sound is deafening, the energy blinding. And beneath it all, one truth pulses in every mind present. This battle is no longer about records or witnesses. It is about who can endure the fire of the mind and who will burn alive inside it. For a moment, silence. A thin, trembling silence stretched so tight it might snap. Then Trump explodes. You disgust me, he roars, his voice tearing through the chamber like a cannon blast. You stand there pretending to be righteous when you're nothing but a liar in lipstick, a fraud wrapped in cheap fabric, a disgrace to this nation. The words spit from his mouth like venom. His hands slam the table so hard the microphones rattle, feedback screeching in everyone's ears. But Jasmine is already on her feet, fire coursing through her veins. Her voice pierces the chaos, sharp, unstoppable. And you, Mr. Trump, are a walking monument to corruption, a thief, a coward, a man who sold out America for his own greed. The chamber detonates. Shouts, gasps, cries, laughter. The audience is no longer watching. They are part of it, caught in the storm. Trump jabs a finger at Jasmine, his face red, spit flying with every syllable. You dare talk to me about greed? You've leeched off this country for years. You take their sympathy, their pity, and you turn it into power like a parasite. Jasmine slams her palm on the table, sending papers fluttering into the air. I don't feed off pity, I fight through pain, and I will never bow to a man who hides his crimes behind wealth and arrogance. The words collide midair like clashing swords. Every exchange sparks louder, hotter, deadlier. Trump snarls, his voice thundering. You're nothing but noise, nothing. Without me, you'd be invisible. Just another failed wannabe with a mouth too big for her own good. Jasmine shoots back instantly. Without you, this country would breathe freer. Without your lies, without your poison, without your endless hunger for power, maybe America could finally heal. The audience surges, some screaming in rage, others cheering wildly. The sound is deafening. A cacophony of tribal chants, boos, claps, stomps. It feels less like Congress and more like a coliseum, two gladiators locked in mortal combat. Microphones crackle under the force of their voices. The cameras shake as operators struggle to keep steady shots in the storm. It is chaos incarnate. Trump lunges forward, practically climbing over the desk, his voice cracking under the weight of his fury. You are weak. You are pathetic. You are nothing compared to me. Jasmine steps forward too, her voice rising above his like a blade cutting through thunder. I am everything you fear. I am the proof you can't silence. And I will stand against you until your empire of lies collapses. The words crash together, their echoes rattling the chamber's walls. It is not conversation. It is not debate. It is war. Words as weapons, fury as firepower. The crowd reacts like spectators in an ancient blood sport. Some pound the benches with their fists, chanting Trump's name like a battle cry. Others scream Jasmine's name, their voices hoarse with passion, their eyes ablaze with defiance. The hall becomes a living, breathing beast of chaos. Trump roars again, his voice breaking into raw animal sound. You're finished! Do you hear me? Finished! But Jasmine cuts through, her voice ice cold, each word detonating like a grenade. No, Mr. Trump, it is you who's finished, and the world is watching you unravel in real time. The insult hits its mark. Trump stumbles, his voice choking into silence for a heartbeat. The cameras zoom closer, capturing the flicker in his eyes, the first sign of fear bleeding into rage. Jasmine doesn't stop. Her voice is relentless, merciless. Every word you spit only proves the truth. You have nothing left but insults. No facts, no defense. Just the sound of a desperate man screaming into the void. The audience erupts again, a frenzy of sound that shakes the very air. It is no longer clear whether they are cheering, booing, or crying out in disbelief. It is pure, unfiltered energy, crashing wave after crashing wave. And at the center of it all, Trump and Jasmine stand locked, their voices colliding, their fury unstoppable. This is not politics. This is not a hearing. This is a battlefield. And in this arena, only one truth matters. Whoever breaks first loses everything. Trump knows it. And so, with the fury of the shouting match still burning in his veins, he pivots. The roaring lion becomes the cunning fox. He reaches under the desk, shuffling through a thick folder his aides have slipped into his hands. His grin returns, wide, malicious, dripping with false confidence. Ladies and gentlemen, Trump declares, his voice booming with theatrical gravity. It seems we've forgotten something very important, something your so-called warrior of justice doesn't want you to see. He slams the folder onto the desk, scattering papers across the table like playing cards. Cameras zoom in as he begins pulling them up one by one, holding them high. Bank statements, emails, signed letters, all proof that Jasmine Crockett, your precious hero, has been taking money from foreign lobbyists, that she's been funneling cash through shady organizations, pretending to fight for justice while she pockets blood money. The chamber gasps in unison. The sound is sharp, like a blade piercing the air. Trump slaps the pages down in a dramatic pile, his voice dripping with mock triumph. Here it is, America. The truth. She's not a warrior. She's a criminal in a dress, and I am the only one brave enough to expose it. The crowd ripples with confusion. Some gasp louder. Some shout insults. Some turn their eyes to Jasmine, suspicion flickering like wildfire. For the first time all evening, the tide shifts. Whispers ripple through the chamber. Commentators mutter into live microphones. Could it be true? Could Crockett be compromised? Jasmine remains seated, silent, her eyes narrow, watching Trump with the calm intensity of a hunter, waiting for the prey to step into its own snare. The silence unnerves the room. They expected fury, denial, protest. But she gives none. Trump mistakes it for weakness. His grin widens, his chest puffs out. He waves another paper in the air, shouting over the roar of the crowd. Emails with signatures, look, dates, times, transfers. She's been lying to all of you. Every word she spoke tonight, rotten to the core. He pounds the desk again, milking every ounce of theater, every drop of false certainty. She calls me corrupt. She is the one who should be on trial, not me. The audience wavers. A few clap, desperate to believe their champion has struck a fatal blow. Others shake their heads, murmuring doubt, torn between the chaos of the night and the sudden spectacle before them. And still, Jasmine waits. Her silence deepens the tension, stretching it like a bowstring drawn tight. Finally, when the noise peaks, when Trump is basking in the illusion of victory, Jasmine moves. She stands slowly, deliberately, no rush, no panic. Her eyes lock onto Trump's as if she can see straight through the papers he clutches. Her voice is quiet at first, almost soft. Mr. Trump, she says, would you like to tell us who prepared those documents for you? Trump blinks. The grin falters, if only for a fraction of a second. Then he laughs, too loudly, too forced. Oh, don't play games with me. These are real. Everyone can see them. Jasmine steps closer, her words sharp, cutting. No, Mr. Trump, what everyone can see is that you're so desperate, you've resorted to staging evidence. Gasps ripple again. The chamber freezes, hanging between two versions of truth. Trump slams the papers harder, his voice cracking as he shouts, lies! These are verified. This is proof. Proof that you... Jasmine interrupts, her tone icy, commanding. Those bank statements? She pauses, savoring the silence. They reference an account that doesn't even exist. The emails, dated on days when Congress was in recess, when my office wasn't even open, and those signatures. She leans closer, eyes like daggers. They're forged, sloppy forgeries at that. Anyone with a magnifying glass could see it. The room implodes with shock. Commentators scramble. Fact-checkers leap to their feet. Cameras zoom in on the documents. Analysts whisper furiously into phones. And Trump's face flushes crimson. His hands tremble slightly as he clutches the papers tighter, like a drowning man gripping driftwood. But the crowd sees it now. The cracks, the desperation. Jasmine straightens, her voice ringing with steel. Mr. Trump, you just revealed more about yourself than you ever could about me. You've shown this chamber, this country, this world, that you'll lie, forge, fabricate, and manipulate, all to escape accountability. The audience erupts again, but this time the roar is not confusion. It is clarity. They've seen the mask slip. Trump tries one last time, shouting into the storm, "She's lying! She's lying! Don't believe her!" But the words no longer strike like thunder. They sound hollow, frantic. Jasmine delivers the final cut of the round. You just played your dirtiest card, Mr. Trump, and it didn't bury me. It buried you. The chamber shakes with noise, half triumphant, half furious, but all electric. The chessboard of lies has collapsed, and the king who tried to cheat is caught in his own trap. And the question sears into the air, into every mind watching around the world. Did Trump just secure his victory, or dig the grave he cannot climb out of? The answer comes in the next heartbeat. Jasmine steps forward, not rushing, not shouting. Her every movement is deliberate, like a general who already knows the battle is hers. The crowd, still buzzing from the revelation of forgery, leans in closer. Cameras follow her every breath. She lays a new folder onto the desk. It is slimmer, neater, but carries a weight that silences the chamber. Her voice is calm, steady, too steady. "Mr. Trump," she begins, eyes locked onto him. "You thought you were clever. You thought you could wave forged papers and the world would swallow them whole." She pauses. Her hand slides a sheet from the folder. "But you made a fatal mistake. You didn't just forge evidence. You left fingerprints all over your own crime." A ripple moves through the audience. Jasmine raises the page high so that the cameras can catch it. It's a certified record from an independent digital forensics firm. Bold seals, watermark signatures, undeniable authenticity. "This," she continues, "is a report from a government-verified cybersecurity team. They trace the origin of the fabricated emails you just paraded around." She slaps the document onto the desk with precision. "And guess where they originated?" The silence is suffocating. Her words cut through like a blade. "From a server tied directly to one of your campaign operatives, a man under investigation for election interference." Gasps. A storm of whispers erupts, commentators practically screaming into their headsets. Trump stiffens, color draining from his face. His hand twitches on the stack of forgeries, as though gripping them tighter will somehow make them real. Jasmine doesn't stop. She lifts another page, then another. Bank verifications, metadata logs, timestamps, all aligned to one conclusion. Every fake bank transfer you flaunted was created with outdated software. Software no federal bank has used in over a decade. And do you know who first used that same program? She lets the pause dangle, savoring it. "One of your own companies, Mr. Trump. The digital fingerprint is yours." The chamber detonates. Shouts, gasps, thunderous reactions bouncing off the marble walls. Trump tries to interrupt, jabbing a finger, his voice trembling with forced rage. "Fake! This is fake, all of it! She's lying! She's twisting!" But his roar has lost its teeth. The once commanding thunder sounds like a storm fading in the distance. Jasmine doesn't even look at him. She turns to the crowd, to the cameras, to the millions watching at home. "Ladies and gentlemen, the man who stood here screaming that I was corrupt has just handed you proof of his own corruption. He wrote his own confession, signed it, and broadcast it live on national television." The words hit like cannon fire. For the first time all night, the chamber explodes, not in confusion, but in unity. Applause erupts, a wave of clapping, cheering, voices rising like a stadium, witnessing a knockout. Lawmakers pound their desks, some with fists, some with open palms, the rhythm echoing like drums of war. Trump opens his mouth again, but the sound is swallowed by the eruption around him. His face has turned pale, his signature orange glow dimming under the floodlights. The sweat beads along his forehead. His lips curl into half-formed snarls that no one hears. And Jasmine, she stands taller than ever, her voice carrying over the applause like a banner in the wind. "You accused me, Mr. Trump. You called me a liar, a fraud, a criminal. But the only fraud exposed tonight is you. You tried to bury me with falsehoods, and in doing so, you buried yourself." The ovation surges louder, almost deafening. Even those who had doubted her earlier are on their feet now, clapping, shouting, eyes wide with the adrenaline of the moment. Trump slumps slightly in his chair. For the first time, he doesn't look like the untouchable titan, the blustering juggernaut. He looks cornered. His lips still move, spitting insults. "Traitor, witch, scum." But the words slide into emptiness. They no longer carry weight. The chamber no longer bends to his fury. Jasmine raises her hand, and the crowd gradually softens, the noise dimming back into tense silence. She delivers her final line of the round, sharp as a blade. "Mr. Trump, you didn't just fail to prove your case, you proved mine. Tonight, America saw the truth. When faced with justice, you cannot fight with facts, only with lies. And lies cannot save you." The silence that follows is heavy, electric, overwhelming. Then the chamber bursts once more into thunderous applause. The sound shakes the very walls. And in that moment, for the first time since the clash began, Donald Trump looks small. Not beaten yet, not finished, but exposed, stripped of the armor of bluster. For the first time, the predator looks like prey. And then he snaps. Trump slams both fists onto the table, the wood groaning under the blow. His voice tears through the chamber, raw, ragged, a scream more than speech. "This is bullshit," he howls, spit flying, face crimson with fury. "You're all liars, all traitors. This little witch is nothing but a damn rat." Gasps ripple across the chamber. Some freeze in disbelief. Others laugh nervously, shocked that a former president has let the mask fall so completely. But Trump is past the point of mass. He is pacing, arms flailing, words spilling like fire and ash. "You think you can touch me? I built this country. I own you. Every single one of you is garbage compared to me. And you—" He jabs a trembling finger toward Jasmine, his voice cracking with venom. "You are nothing, nothing but trash." The chamber is chaos now. Lawmakers pound their desks, some demanding order, others smirking at the spectacle. Reporters shout over one another, their microphones stretching forward like spears. Cameras zoom in, catching every bead of sweat on his forehead, every twitch of rage in his jaw. Across the world, millions watch with their breath held, seeing not power but collapse. And then, Jasmine rises, not in haste, not in panic. She stands slow, deliberate, her figure straight as an iron pillar, her presence expanding until it feels as though the chamber belongs to her alone. The noise fades under her command. Even Trump's ranting sputters as she lifts the microphone. Her voice is deep, steady, carrying the gravity of thunder rolling over mountains. "Mr. Trump," she says, calm yet sharp, "every insult you scream, every curse you spit, every vulgar word you hurl, it doesn't bury me." She steps forward, her eyes locked, unwavering. "It buries you, because the world isn't seeing strength. They're seeing fear. They're seeing a man so terrified of the truth that he would rather drown himself in filth than face it." A hush falls. The silence isn't absence, but tension, pulled taut to the breaking point. Trump snarls, trying to interject. "Lies, all lies, you're a—" "Enough!" The single word hits like a hammer. Her tone doesn't rise, it sharpens. The silence after it is deafening. "Enough, Mr. Trump. You can shout until your throat bleeds, but shouting cannot erase evidence. You can curse until the walls shake, but curses cannot silence facts. And you can insult me until your last breath, but insults will never change the truth." The chamber trembles, every word echoing like a drumbeat. She lifts the final document, holding it high. "The truth is this. You lied. You forged. You deceived. And in your desperation, you confessed to the world what you are, a coward hiding behind noise." Trump pounds the table again, but the blow sounds weaker, emptier. His face twists into a grimace, a mask of fury and desperation bleeding into one. Jasmine leans forward, her voice rising, not shrill, not uncontrolled, but vast, commanding, undeniable. "You called me trash. You called me a rat. But tonight, America saw the difference. I stood with facts. You stood with lies. I stood with proof. You stood with rage. And when history writes this night, it will not remember your screams. It will remember your fall." The chamber erupts. Applause roars like thunder. Shouts rise, echoing off the marble walls like cannon fire. Reporters' flashes blind the air, freezing the moment in time for the world to see. Trump keeps shouting, his words crumbling into curses, fragments of fury that no longer carry weight. His voice cracks, breaks, fades into the storm of noise around him. And Jasmine, she stands unshaken, her figure silhouetted by the blinding lights, her voice cutting through the frenzy like a blade through smoke. "This was never about me," she declares. "It was about truth versus lies. And tonight, lies lost." The chamber explodes once more. The ovation is no longer applause. It's a verdict, a declaration, a wave crashing against the last fragments of Trump's defense. For a moment, it feels as though the building itself shakes. Trump slumps back into his chair, chest heaving, his face a mask of defeat hidden behind the remnants of rage. His words are drowned, his fury smothered. And Jasmine, head high, eyes fierce, raises her hand, sealing the night with one final strike. Mr. Trump, this is the end of your storm and the beginning of your reckoning. The chamber roars, the world watches, and history carves the moment into stone. The climax has arrived, and one truth remains unshakable. Trump may still be standing, but in this war of words he has already fallen. The chamber hangs in a stunned silence. Trump's chest heaves, his breath ragged, his eyes darting left and right as though searching for an escape that does not exist. His once booming voice has dwindled into fragments, scattered syllables clinging to life like embers dying in the cold. Fake, lies, all lies, he mutters, the words slurred, drained of their venom. His fists, once pounding with fury, now tremble weakly against the table. For the first time in decades, Donald J. Trump looks small. Not the towering force of arrogance, not the shielded fortress of bravado, just a man, cornered by truth, caged by the weight of his own collapse. Jasmine Crockett does not rush. She takes a single step forward, then another, the echo of her heels slicing the silence like drumbeats of destiny. The room bends toward her, pulled by the gravity of her presence. When she finally speaks, her voice is not loud, but it carries the clarity of lightning splitting the sky. Mr. Trump, she begins, her eyes locked on his. For years, you've buried the truth under money, under power, under rage. She holds up the final document, not to humiliate, not to grandstand, but as a symbol. But tonight, the truth stood up, and it did not break. Her gaze sweeps the chamber, piercing through the sea of lawmakers, journalists, and citizens crammed into every corner. The truth cannot be bought. It cannot be silenced. It cannot be buried. Not by you, not by anyone. The words reverberate like iron striking iron. Trump shifts in his chair, his face drained, his lips twitching with failed retorts. But nothing comes out. Nothing but silence. And in that silence, Jasmine's presence grows even larger. She sets the file down with finality, her hands steady, her chin lifted. This is not the end of a hearing. This is the beginning of a reckoning. Justice does not whisper, it roars. And tonight, America heard it. The chamber erupts. People rise to their feet, applause exploding like thunder rolling through the marble walls. Some cheer, some weep, some pound their desks in solidarity. The sound swells, wave after wave, a storm of voices united in one declaration. The truth has spoken, and it has not been silenced. Reporters scramble to capture every moment, cameras flashing, microphones buzzing. The headlines are already being written, carved into history in real time. And yet, amid the storm, Jasmine stands still. Her expression is not triumphant arrogance, but solemn resolve. She does not bask in victory, she shoulders it, because she knows what few dare to admit. This is only the first battle. Trump slouches deeper into his chair, eyes glazed, lips pursed tight against defeat. Once the architect of chaos, now just a figure swallowed by it. The predator has become prey. Jasmine turns from him, not out of mercy, but because he is no longer the center of this story. Her final words echo across the chamber, reaching not just those in the room, but the millions watching around the world. Let tonight be remembered, not as the night one man raged and fell, but as the night truth rose and refused to be chained. The ovation swells again, crashing like waves against stone. Outside the chamber, protests roar, celebrations erupt, and across the nation, hearts pound faster, sensing that something bigger has begun. For this is not closure, this is ignition. The camera pans across Trump's hollow stare, then lifts to Jasmine's steady eyes burning with fire, and finally out toward the American flag hanging above the chamber, its stripes glowing beneath the lights like a reminder, a warning, a promise. The curtain falls, but not softly. It falls with the echo of thunder, the taste of fire, and the certainty that justice has not finished its work. The story is not over. It has only just begun. And as the screen fades to black, One hook remains pulsing in every heart. If tonight could shake a nation, what storm is still to come? In the end, this was never only about one woman and one man. It was about the eternal struggle between power and truth, arrogance and integrity, darkness and light. The lesson is simple yet profound. Lies may roar, but they cannot endure. Truth may stumble, but it never falls. When we choose courage over silence, when we stand for justice even in the face of ridicule, we do more than defend ourselves. We light the path for generations to come. If this clash lit a fire in you, don't just move on, hold it, question it, pass it forward, like, comment, and share it with someone who still believes justice must roar louder than lies. Subscribe to Harrison Stories, where truth refuses to be buried and silence is never an option. Hit the bell, because the storm isn't over. The next battle cuts deeper, and it may change how you see power forever. This is a dramatized story inspired by real struggles, real corruption, and real courage. Any resemblance to actual people or events is coincidental or symbolic, meant for reflection and critique. Thank you for watching. Justice doesn't wait to be given. It is fought for. This is Harrison Stories.